Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. Ty Hildebrandt here, Dan Rubenstein over there. solidverbal at gmail.com, as always, is the email. Don't forget, you can find us on the interweb. solidverbal.com, sbnation.com. We're also on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat. And if you'd like to subscribe to our content, please do so at itunes.com/solidverbal. Mr. Rubenstein.
Yo.
What up, brother? How you doing?
I'm pretty good, Ty. Trying to fight that feeling. I'm trying to leave it alone. Here's the thing. It ain't love. Because if it ain't love, it ain't enough to leave me in my happy home. Let's keep it friendly, Ty. You have to play fair.
Is this what? I have no idea what this is.
It's a song that you probably have not heard in years. It is a top 20 song from 2005. If I tell you the artist, I don't know that you'll get it.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
So the artist is the Pussycat Dolls.
Oh my God. I don't even know which one it was. I'm familiar with a few of their songs.
Sure. Is the number 9 song 2005? Don't Ya?
Don't Ya?
Don't Ya? Don't Ya wish your girlfriend was hot like me?
Yeah, don't you wish week 2 was hot like week 1?
I wish week 2 was hot like your girlfriend, yeah.
Well, it's good to be back with you. It feels like we just recorded like 2 days ago because we did.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to try and do our best here to make it through college football's week 2. Not the sexiest slate of games here before us, but we've picked out. Okay. Yeah, we've picked out a handful here. We've got a few other notable games. We're going to have a celebrity guest picker to try and spice things up a little bit later on in the show as well. So I'm excited to be here with you. If you want, we can get into what happened on Monday night.
Yeah, I think we should start that.
We have breaking news.
Boop, 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 as we record Wednesday evening.
Florida State 45, Ole Miss 34. How much of this game did you watch?
Truth be told, I watched half of the game then, and then I went to sleep because I was exhausted, and watched the second half the next day. So that would be yesterday.
Chad Kelly, Swag Kelly, lit the world on fire in the first half. 3 touchdown passes. Ole Miss jumps out to a quick 28-6 lead. I was watching this game in the sports bar, and I'm thinking, damn, I picked Florida State in my playoffs. This is going to be a problem. But au contraire, like a phoenix, Dan, rising from Arizona, Florida State comes back second half. They erase that deficit over the next 15 minutes of game time. By the end of the third quarter, they're up 8, 36-28.
We dogs.
Yeah.
You saw that speech?
I did see that speech by
we dogs.
One Jameis Winston, yeah. DeAndre Francois, 419 impressive yards. He did find his way as the game wore on. The defense forced 4 turnovers from Ole Miss. The Noles controlled 42 minutes of offense. And Ricky Aguayo, yes, Daniel, there is another Aguayo, could not be contained, going 6 for 6 in field goals. They make the adjustments they need to. They beat Ole Miss by a score, again, 45-34. They win the game by 11. Not impressive to start, but as the game wore on, they got more and more impressive. All due credit to FSU and Jimbo Fisher for doing what needed to be done to win this game and get their first win of the year.
To my ears, are you saying Old Miss?
No, Ole.
I know, but I think you punctuate because you have such a powerful voice that I hear Old Miss as if you are protesting the sort of Southern slang of it, and I like that.
No, it's Skype. It's just Skype playing tricks on my speech.
Yes, right as Florida State started getting their act together at the beginning of the second half, it just sort of started feeling like you were watching somebody in the ocean with their back turned to a giant wave, and you're just like, I don't think they can hear me, but oh no, I see what's about to happen, and it's not going to be great. And you're going to have to take it. And that was what happened to Ole Miss in the second half. The turnovers weren't great for Chad Kelly. They were running pretty well in the first half. That big touchdown run earlier on was impressive. I think it was Akeem Judd for Ole Miss who had that. But yeah, Florida State and Jimbo Fisher, once they diagnose, and we've seen this, we saw that year in and year out with Jameis Winston, that their halftime adjustments were so good and they were able to come together as a team so well. And that's what we saw. You could only stop Dalvin Cook for so long, and the receiving talent, which we had talked about over the summer, the depth of receiving talent, eventually, whether it was Bobo Wilson, Travis Rudolph, had a couple of really nice catches. Kermit Whitfield got in there. Really bummed to see the Ole Miss. I think he was a cornerback earlier on, cornerback or safety, who went down with the bad knee injury. That was a huge bummer and sort of changed the trajectory of the game long term. But just an unbelievable win. I think Florida State outscored Ole Miss in the second half, something like 32-6.
Yeah.
It was just a tale of two games, and Florida State paced themselves well for it. Good for them.
Also, Chad Kelly with an all-time social media fumble.
Oops.
Getting caught up in the direct messages of a Florida State fan who just happened to be an adult actress. She in turn published screenshots from those direct messages all over Twitter for the world to see.
Yeah, I'd be good with you calling her a porn star, because I think she legitimately is near the top of that game.
I am not here.
Porn star is overused.
I am not here to create labels, Dan. I'm just saying she's a reputable actress in her field, and suffice to say, Swag Kelly no longer has a Twitter handle.
This is not a show that is a stranger to adult performers.
No. By the way, I should add, our celebrity guest is not Lex Steele.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to give the game away here in the first 10 minutes, but
right. Is it Peter North?
We're staying way away from that genre.
So you're telling me it's Rocco.
Moving on.
It's everybody I know.
Let's talk about the top 25. You have a chance to look at the top 25 and imbibe.
Good verb.
Yeah, thank you. Imbibe all that upward mobility for a team like a Wisconsin in the top 10, a team like a Texas now in the top 11.
Yeah.
How you feeling about this?
I did have time to look at it. Wisconsin in the top 10 is interesting because they looked kind of like half a team, but I guess you could say the same thing about Texas. That was sort of led by its offense. Here's the thing. Early on in the season, it's not that it doesn't matter, because it's fun that an unranked team beats a ranked team. That's just part of the conversation that we like having. I love the overreactions. I think it's one of the greatest things ever. Looking back after the season, be like, oh yeah, Washington was number 8. They should be number 1, obviously. Oh yeah, Oklahoma fell to 14 and they haven't been in the rankings since. Those things are fun for me. So I love that we have preseason rankings. I love that we have early season rankings. As far as these specific ones go, those top 5 teams certainly look like top 5 teams with what they did over the course of the game. Florida State's in at number 3. Houston at number 6, great win. It'd be weird if they were behind Oklahoma. Stanford is number 7 after not the greatest win at home, not doing much in the second half as it relates to offense. That seems a little bit high to me. Louisville moves up 6 spots after beating Charlotte. All right, sure, okay. I'm trying to think what else sort of jumped out to me as being a little bit odd. Tennessee fell 8 spots after winning. Again, we disagree about App State and them being good.
Yeah.
But they win and they fall 8 spots. Okay. A little strange.
I love the overreactions because the Wisconsin move upwards to 10 is a little too meaty for my liking. I'm a Bart Houston fan. I'm a fan of all Barts, but gosh, 10th, that's biting off a little bit more than I think Wisconsin's going to be able to chew this season. That's a big one that jumps out to me.
I'm looking at the rest of the teams in the top 20 behind Wisconsin: Texas, Michigan State, Louisville, Oklahoma, TCU, Iowa, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I feel like all of those teams, maybe with the exception of Tennessee, would be favored against Wisconsin. That's okay.
Totally.
Great for Wisconsin.
Totally. But we've got a new top 25. This is now something we can argue about on weeks like this one, week numero dos.
Ty, I should also add one more thing about the top 25.
Oh.
Colorado got a vote.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Love that. San Diego State got a bunch of votes.
Navy got 2.
Love this.
Good for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick
Florida
some games.
didn't look good and got 117. Let's pick some games.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
It is week 2 here in the college football world.
Yep.
Dan and I are talking over one another because we're so excited to discuss all of the high-flying action this week.
Mm-hmm.
How many games do we got here? I got 1, 2, 3.
Medium
4.
flying.
Yeah, we got a medium slate of games here. We're going to do our best to dress it up. Let's start at high noon. ESPN. The rivalry is renewed. In my great state of Pennsylvania, this game is in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. Penn State claims that they're coming to town and they're going to make it a whiteout. And I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of Pitt people, a lot of Penn State people. Penn Staters bought a lot of the tickets in this game. The line is 6 in favor of the Panthers, Dan.
Yeah.
Pitt won a week ago, 28-7, I believe, over Villanova. Not the most impressive of efforts, but a win nonetheless. Penn State beat Kent State 33-13. Where's your lean on this game?
Right now, I think Pitt. And even though Pitt's offense against Villanova was pretty abysmal over the course of those 4 quarters, I think it's going to be a big emotional game against a sort of reheated rivalry with Penn State. And not thrilled with what I saw at Penn State. Don't think that kind of offense travels, at least not yet. So I'm going to give the points. And I don't feel wonderful about it. But in a case like this, I'm going to side with what I feel like is the better systems in place, the better coaching staff, the more proven quarterback. I really like Pitt's backfield, so I'm going to roll with Pitt, probably just because I want them to win, and it just feels right to pick them.
Are they still secretly decent Pitt, or is it more overtly decent Pitt at this point?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Ty, because as it relates to yard per play, they're 116th in the country at the moment after one game.
More secretly then.
True, but they are ahead of Vanderbilt and they are ahead of Auburn. And do you know who the worst offensive team is in the country? If you had to guess, by yards per play after one game, and that's 2 for Hawaii.
Okay. Missouri.
It is a Power 5 team. It is not Missouri.
Okay.
The answer is USC. The answer is USC has 2.9 yards per play.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for them.
That is not very many. They are
good for them.
Right behind Wake Forest at 126.
Good for them. All right. So Pitt's got 2 big advantages over Penn State. This is why I'm taking Pitt. First off, they're really experienced along the line. They got a ton of talent up front, and that's going to be a problem because Penn State's replacing, as I said it a million times before, Carl Nassib, Anthony Zettel, Austin Johnson. That's fine when you're going against Kent State, but when you're going against a team like Pitt with a really good line and a really good back in James Conner, I think that's a problem. So Conner's going to control the game. Pitt's going to control the game on the ground. That's problem number 1. Problem 2 is that Pitt's got a ton of guys back from a defense a year ago that was really good at stopping the run. And I think that's an issue because Penn State's best player is obviously Saquon Barkley. I think they lean on him pretty heavily, or as heavily as they can in a game like this, a de facto rivalry game against Pitt. And I think they're able to contain him and force Penn State to try and make some plays with Trace McSorley. I am not at all confident in Trace McSorley. I am excited to draw numerous gunslinger comparisons this season with Trace McSorley. He is a guy who's a little too confident in his arm. And
I love that.
I love it. It's admirable. It's fun to watch, just not if you're rooting for the team. And Pat Narduzzi is going to find ways to make him uncomfortable and force him to create some mistakes for his team. So give me Pitt. I'm going to lay the 6. I'm going to come back to this game. I'm going to think maybe about locking it up. I'm pretty confident in Pitt here.
Name to remember for Pitt, who had a really impressive week last week. I think could have an interesting season. Avonte Maddox, 3 tackles for a loss. Could be very disruptive.
All right. So we both like Pitt here, minus the 6.
Yes, we agree.
Onward we must go. 7 p.m. ESPN. This one's at TCU. I think a pretty good game. A secretly decent game, if you will.
I think so.
TCU at home, 7.5 points, the favorite. Against the Arkansas Razorbacks, Dan. As you know, I'm all in on TCU.
Okay.
I am bathing in their musk. Despite what we saw last week against San Diego State, I have confidence in TCU's defense. I think it keeps them within striking distance all season long.
You mean South Dakota State, I'm assuming.
What did I say?
You said San Diego, which would have been a great game. San Diego State's very good.
Excuse me, the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. I have SD State here on my note sheet. But I like the defense still, despite giving up 41 a week ago to the Jackrabbits.
Not a good game defensively.
I like Kenny Hill, a.k.a. Kenny Trill, a.k.a. Kenny Heisman.
QB Aggies, QB Frogs. Yeah.
Whatever we want to call him. I like his connection, the early connection he forged with my boy Taj Williams. The line's a bit of a concern offensively, as is the running game, but I'm just going to forget about it. I'm going to look the other way because offensively, I don't know what to expect from Arkansas this year between the new quarterback and the new running back and a few new faces up front. Yeah, not a situation that gives me the warm fuzzies. So, yeah, after a 1-point win against Louisiana Tech last week, that is not necessarily leaving me in a place of much confidence. Give me TCU minus the points here at home against Arkansas.
Bare minimum. As a team playing against Arkansas in September, you're always going to be in the game. You're always in the game against Arkansas in September. Some interesting talent for Arkansas, even replacing some big offensive skill. Raleigh Williams is the clear workhorse running back, and I expect some pretty decent things out of him this season, as I expect big things out of Austin Allen eventually at quarterback for Arkansas. But the thing I believe in most in this game is still the TCU offense. The TCU defense was, as we talked about, not great against South Dakota State. Go Jackrabbits. But I think they will improve. I think Kenny Hill should be able to cut down on the turnovers. And I'm not all that confident in the back half of Arkansas's defense to fully take advantage. And as we've mentioned and talked about a little bit, Taj Williams and Kavonte Turpin make up one of the early enticing duos out wide for a team. So I think TCU and Kenny Hill ride that. I think they beat them. I think I talked about it on Easy Call yesterday on Snapchat, SB Nation CFB. 38-24 is the score I have. I think they're a couple touchdowns better right now, and that's when the game is happening.
Yeah, if TCU were a power rushing team, I might feel differently about this game, but they're not. They're going to throw, and to your point, I think that's a problem for Arkansas. So I like TCU as well. The game is also at TCU, which of course bodes well for the Horned Frogs. So yeah, I was all in on TCU even before the season started. Last week didn't give me a whole lot of reason to feel great about it, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I'm gonna say TCU minus the 7.5. What do you say? 38-20?
38-24.
Yeah, let's go 38-21 in favor of TCU.
Gotcha.
Moving on. Another night game. This one is the Holy War. This is the only sound I have for it. That's my Shane Buechele song.
You promised me you were going to put Lex Steele sounds over that, and you failed once again in talking about the Holy War. There it is. It works well, right?
It kind of has a beat to it, yeah.
It does have a certain rhythm.
This one is the Holy War. It's a fun little rivalry. You may have heard of it. 7:30 on Fox. This game is in Utah. They are a 3.5-point favorite over their hated rival, the BYU Cougars. Dan, as you know, one of the great matchups in college football. Utah 1-0 after shutting out Southern Utah. They now move on in their all-Utah bracket to face the Cougars, who left the state last week. They took down Arizona by an 18-16 score, winning a game for their first-time head football coach. Neutral site, I've got this game at about Utah minus 0.9.
Okay.
It's about as close to a pick'em as you're going to get. This feels exactly like the kind of game that finishes with an 18-16 score like we saw last week when BYU took down Arizona.
You may remember this matchup from such bowl games as last year's Las Vegas Bowl. So it has not been all that long since we last saw these two teams play. If I remember correctly, Utah did everything in their power to blow the Vegas Bowl, but somehow held on to win the Vegas Bowl. So recent history, different coach would dictate that Utah should have the advantage. But BYU is much more of an unknown quantity at this point because of their new coaches, but an impressive week one. I think I'm going to roll with BYU.
Yeah.
It's at Utah, correct?
At Utah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go roll with BYU. They have the quarterback advantage in my eyes, even though I think Troy Williams is pretty good. I am a little bit worried about only putting up 24 points against Southern Utah against what I think is a pretty good BYU defense. And for that reason, I think Utah's going to be fine this year, but they're generally due to drop a couple of bad games. And I think BYU takes it. I don't think you're wrong about the score. I'm going to say 24-18 BYU.
If you could bet $1 million imaginary dollars on this one being a defensive struggle versus being a shootout, I have to believe you'd place like all but $4 of your dollars on it being a defensive struggle of some kind.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I think Utah wins outright because they're basically saying Utah is basically even with BYU at a 3-point favorite at home. So I'm going to go with the quarterback. I'm going to go with the more mysterious defense. Mysterious.
Yeah. Look, the matchup I'm interested in is BYU and Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill in that rushing attack against what looks like a pretty solid defensive line for Utah with your boy Lowell Lotulelei.
Oh, Lowell Lotulelei. Yeah.
Lotulelei. However you want to pronounce it. That should be an interesting matchup. And, you got a guy like a Taysom Hill back for his 18th year at quarterback. I think they keep it within 3 at a minimum. Sort of a toss-up one way or the other. 3.5, I get that little hook there. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's go BYU here. I'll say they win this game outright, 19-18. I don't know how you get 19 points, but let's say 19-18, BYU wins outright.
Yeah, BYU did struggle a little bit on the ground against Arizona and a good running back in Joe Williams for Utah. So something worth paying attention to.
Moving on, another 7:30 game. Good God. Big Ten Network getting in on the nighttime action. This one being played in Iowa. The Hawkeyes, a 15-point favorite over hated in-state rival Iowa State. When Spencer Hall refers to this game lovingly as El Assico.
El Assico!
I see that this game's being played in Iowa City. Late breaking news here. They are actually moving this game to Manaus Stadium in Brazil.
That makes sense. Too much interest.
Any reason to feel good about Iowa State?
Gosh, put me on the spot like that. Austin Arnaud. They beat Oklahoma State Okay, so this is why I'm going to pick Iowa because they're way better. So lock them up for me, please.
Lock of the week.
Okay, go on.
If you're a team looking to beat Iowa, you should probably do so on the ground because their pass defense is ridiculous. And when you check what Iowa State was able to do on the ground against Northern Iowa in a loss last week, it is not pretty. They are averaging at the moment 2.04 yards per carry.
Good.
After
nice.
A game against a good FCS school, but an FCS school. So I have my doubts. Iowa State is bad at football right now. They may improve. Iowa feels comfortable. They will happily step on the gas versus the in-state rival and recent losses. So yeah, Hawkeyes, lock it up.
All right. Did you know that Kirk Ferentz recently got like a 50-year extension
paid
to stay at Iowa through, I believe, 2026? That news is hot off the presses, Dan. One thing that I think you neglect here, this is an in-state rivalry, and you know what we do when we got big rivalries like this? You got to throw out the records, man. You got to throw out your perception of what should happen.
Okay.
All right. Now, I know Iowa took care of business last week, and they did it in a good, honest way with Akram Wadley and LaShawn Daniels. And, of course, Iowa State lost to Northern Iowa. But while I do think that Iowa is going to win here, I do think Iowa State could cause some issues. I think they might be able to throw with their new version of Sam B. Richardson. His name is Joel Lannon.
Yeah, I was about to ask you to name one Iowa State player.
I think Iowa grinds them down, Dan. I think they win the game the same way they win most of their games, but I'm going to go with the Cyclones here.
Oh, man.
I believe in Matt Campbell. I think they're going to throw on Iowa.
Do you think that you can lock it up? You feel so good?
No.
Because I don't think Iowa's going to grind.
No.
So grinding feels like a long process where you're just like at it. You just and finally you'd break through. I don't think Iowa's going to grind down Iowa State. I think they're going to run past, over, under, through, around, over and over again. I don't think it's going to be close. I would think it's going to be something like 42-13 Iowa.
Can I give you full disclosure on this selection?
Please.
I had incorrectly marked on our score sheet that this game was at Iowa State.
Oh.
I made my selection as Iowa State being the Yakos home dog of the week.
Okay. No.
The Yakos home dog of the week.
You know, just for giggles. And then I changed it this morning upon learning that I was incorrect. But I'm going to stick with Iowa State anyway. I believe in Matt Campbell.
Okay, good for you.
Moving on. Bristol Motor Speedway is the site for this fast-paced game, Dan.
Yes.
8 p.m. on ABC, Tennessee, an 11.5-point favorite against Virginia Tech, Dan. I am curious to see if Tennessee can start this game
Don't do it.
in high gear.
Oh, no.
As you know, they spent all of week one in pit lane.
Oh, no. Don't do it. There's just no reason.
Woo!
You think Josh Dobbs is going to take the wheel?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Let's see how many stupid Bristol Motor Speedway related puns we can make here. Conventional wisdom would be that you'd see a fair amount of improvement here between weeks 1 and 2 because Tennessee is Tennessee. They've got so much coming back from last season. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic. They better hope for their sake that they do because Virginia Tech actually looked pretty good with Gerard Evans. And if they don't look better than they did a week ago against App State, they're probably going to lose this game.
Yeah, it's fine. I have no read on this game in terms of one team or the other standing out. I think Tennessee is the team with the clear higher ceiling. The spread for this game, once again, is what? About 10 points?
11.5.
11.5 at this point. I'm going to give those points. I think Tennessee has enough of a bounce back week. Gerard Evans in his first real big game for Virginia Tech. The offense was fine, although nothing all that special. I think it will be eventually under Justin Fuente. But just because of the ceiling, just because of the ways that Tennessee has to win, and I'm not including the passing game in that way, I'm going to go with the Vols. I think that they are able to pull this one out by probably a couple touchdowns. Let's call it 31-17 Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any more Bristol puns?
I'm working on them.
Is like Jalen Hurd is the engine that makes the Vols go. Maybe if Tennessee struggles again, they're going to have to check things under the hood.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they're back on track.
No, I can't. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's week 2. This is already wearing me down here.
Okay.
I think there's an overreaction going on among people out there betting this game. The line is 11.5. That's low. That's really low.
Wow, really?
If Tennessee is half as good as everyone still apparently thinks, this should be 13 or 14. So if you're confident in Tennessee, I feel this is a value buy. I would go Tennessee hard. If I were confident in Tennessee, I would go hard.
Right. So here's the counterpoint. Much in the way that if you were playing Arkansas in September, you're always in the game. Here's a question that you can always answer with the affirmative. A question you can always answer with the word yes. And that is, can Tennessee's coaching staff be outcoached?
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah.
In a big game, Butch, yeah.
For sure.
What I was going to say is that Tennessee is absolutely the more talented team, and they should win the game. However, wonder if it's not time to start looking at Butch Jones as, I'm going to say it, an alternate version of James Franklin.
Ooh, interesting.
He's a guy who can recruit, but he can't scheme his way out of a paper bag.
Okay. I mean, some of that's Mike DeBoard, the offensive coordinator. But yeah.
Find some way to scheme your way out of a tough situation. They did just enough to win last week. They can't get away by the hair on their chinny chin like they did last week against App State when they're playing a team like a Virginia Tech and Justin Fuente, who I think is a pretty good coach.
How many times, if I gave you the over-under of 2.5 in the first quarter, because I think this is the ABC game, correct?
Yep.
Does Kirk Herbstreit refer to Bud Foster's defense as blue collar? 2.5 is the over-under in the first quarter.
Going under.
You're going under.
Going under. If it were Jesse Palmer, I'd go over.
Oh, that's the easy over. I would have given you 6.5. Yeah.
Number of times that Kirk Herbstreit says, quote, pinning their ears back in this game. For the totality of the football game, over under, let's say 2. Do you go over under?
Oh, I'd go over.
That's his favorite. His little trope.
I will walk back mine. How many times do you think in the first quarter Bud Foster's name is just mentioned? I feel like in terms of defensive coordinator Q rating, Bud Foster is the most well-known defensive coordinator name at this point. It has to be, right?
I'd put that at 3, that over under.
Okay. Yeah. I'd take the over happily.
All right. So anyway, this is all my roundabout way of saying that I have lost all confidence in Tennessee. And even though I think they're the better team, I kind of just want to pick Virginia Tech because that game last week, I'm still fired up over that App State game, man. People commented on Twitter, boy, Ty's fired. Ty's not usually fired up about things. I'm usually pretty calm. You know, I'm an even-tempered kind of guy.
Anti-Boone, Ty Hildebrand.
I'm an even-tempered kind of guy. I'm usually pretty calm.
That's true.
That really got me going. So
I mean, you sip your tea in the afternoons, you go to bed early, you listen to your Glenn Miller.
I do.
You listen to your Count Basie.
Yep.
Even keel.
Virginia Tech plus 11.5.
Okay.
Moving on. 10:15. ESPN2, the Deuce.
Yep.
Boise State also an 11.5 point favorite at home against Washington State. Washington State a week ago lost to Eastern Washington. Before the season, this looked like one of those games that could be potentially a loss for Boise State. I am not feeling it anymore. Not after what we saw last week. I know Eastern Washington's pretty good, but no, not after what we saw a week ago. Not with the knowledge that Boise State's defense is probably good enough to force enough stops to prevent Washington State from putting up pinball numbers. Not against a Wazoo team that gave up 45 points to Eastern Washington. There's just too much to like here, I think, on the Boise State side of the equation. So I'm going to go Boise State 48, Wazoo 34.
So here's something that you're forgetting when you're looking at this game. Washington State, even with their start, is still undefeated against FBS teams.
True. Very true.
They have not dropped a single game against an FBS opponent. I think all of your points are sound, though I think it's going to be a closer, more shootout-y type of game, even though it's in Boise State. But late night on the blue turf, I don't know if Boise State is that complete enough to put away a team in Washington State that last year went on the road and beat Oregon and UCLA. Now, I know this is a different season. It's a different squad. It's a different makeup. But I like Washington State enough, and you just spoke about the ills of overreacting to week one. Eastern Washington's a good team. Eastern Washington is a very good team. There are maybe 3 teams in the country who could consistently shut down EWU and Cooper Kupp. So I am going to say right now, Washington State covers this by a few points. I said on Easy Call on SB Nation CFB Snapchat, 42-35. Boise State wins it at home, but they do not cover. I'm confident in that. There it is.
All right. We disagree. And then finally, another late night game on ESPN. This one at Oregon.
I can't believe you put this on the list, but thank you.
What else am I going to put on the list?
Oh, there are. Okay. I think Cal San Diego State is a higher quality game than this one. I think Texas Tech ASU is higher quality.
That's a weird line to me. ASU -3?
But it's still 2 teams that have competed at a relatively high level against other good teams.
Can I tell you why I put this on the list?
Please.
Oregon -24.5.
Lock of the week.
I am going to lock up Oregon every week until they lose. After what happened last week with you picking Notre Dame, there's a blood feud.
Good.
There is a blood feud going on here in Verbalville.
Okay.
And it's all your fault. So Oregon minus anything against anybody. But in this case, it's Virginia. Virginia lost by 17, I think, to Richmond.
Yeah, that great.
A week ago. We haven't talked much about Oregon. You want to talk a little bit about Oregon? Did you like the defense you saw last week?
I talked a little bit about them. The defense was certainly more cohesive and organized. I think Troy Dye, I mentioned this afterwards, legitimate, very, very good player as a true freshman. I think he might be leading the nation in tackles for a loss at the moment after his, granted, UC Davis game. Defense is going to be better. Offensive line, I think, is a key, but I think that is going to get better. They get their starting left tackle, Crosby, back this week. So I'm not terribly concerned as an Oregon fan about Virginia. You mentioned they are undefeated once again versus FBS opponents, but at Oregon, traveling across the country, a 10:30 game, I think Oregon's going to run all over them. So I am comfortable taking or giving the points, excuse me. By the way, I should mention our pals at Pro Football Focus College.
Yeah.
They sent us over. Did you get this document?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
This is the greatest thing ever. And you should go check out all of their stats on pff-college.com, I believe. I hope that's not wrong. But they have all sorts of adjusted completion percentages. So they take into account kneels and throwaways and quarterbacks being hit as they throw it or drops. So it's like, okay, so you completed 50% of your passes, but there were 9 drops. So it's okay what happened. Dakota Prukop in his first game for Oregon did pretty well, adjusted completion percentage wise and against pressure. And it's a little sensitive for me that there was actual pressure from UC Davis, but he was the best quarterback in the country in week 1, tied with a bunch of other quarterbacks. So even though I'm looking for more out of Prukop in terms of not turning the ball over and completing passes under pressure, he was very good. Thanks, PFF friends.
All right. Some other games of note. We've got Louisville on Friday night at 8 p.m., 14.5 points, the favorite in the Carrier Dome against Syracuse.
Eric Dungy, another quarterback that graded out real well, adjusted completion percentage.
Could be interesting. 14.5 after what we saw a week ago from Louisville, especially Lamar Jackson scoring 8 touchdowns in the first half. 14.5 feels a little low, but okay. Weird Friday night game. Saturday, we've got NC State at East Carolina. We've got Wake at Duke, which looks horrible on paper and maybe worse in person.
Right.
We've got South Carolina at Mississippi State, which could be in that same class. We've got North Carolina, only a 9.5 point road favorite against Illinois. Actually, Illinois is my home dog.
Wow.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
That is a bizarre line. Very bizarre line.
North Carolina wasn't great.
Yeah, but still, it's North Carolina. Texas Tech at ASU, ASU -3. This is a weird line. I would think on the surface that Texas Tech would be favored here.
ASU is a weird place to play sometimes. I could see it.
And then Cal at San Diego State. San Diego State actually is 7.5 point favorite. I kind of like Cal.
San Diego State's a good team.
So look, we talked about this. We teased it, as they say in the industry, at the top of the show. Sort of a weak slate of week 2 games. We're doing our best here to jazz things up a bit on this program. Let's bring in our celebrity guest.
Is it Jamie Foxx?
It is not Jamie Foxx, no.
You promised me Jamie Foxx, Ty, and now I am severely disappointed.
Joining us here on the Dave Davis Dental Hotline here on the Solid Verbal, Travis Haney joining us from ESPN. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm actually looking for a dentist if Dave is taking new patients. So if we can work that out afterwards.
What's the issue?
Just, regular maintenance.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had an unusual dental disease that you needed looked at by a professional.
I don't think it's immediate, the need, but having a clean set of teeth, that's not a bad thing.
Are you a consistent flosser?
I would say an intermittent flosser.
Okay.
I don't do it enough, especially when I travel, but when I'm home, I'm a little bit better about it. It's kind of like everything, actually. You get in a better rhythm.
Sure.
Sleep and gym and all that stuff.
Did you have braces as a child?
I did.
Ooh, good question.
What color rubber bands did you go with?
I think I just switched out. I don't know. Those were the worst, though. Like when you couldn't really even open your mouth and it just, I don't know.
And you had the wax. The wax was the worst, too. Yeah, that was...
I didn't have any of this.
I had braces in like the worst glasses known to man in middle school. I mean, can you imagine just how popular I was as a 7th grader?
Ladies, a line, an orderly single file line.
Time. Take a number. You know how I started doing this? As a matter of fact, this is terrible. You guys are really good because you're getting the good stuff out right away.
Sure.
My first job in sports, quote unquote, I was 14 and I decided that I would be a manager for the JV football team.
That's wonderful.
Why would anyone do that? Why didn't I just play? My rationale was I didn't want to interfere with my burgeoning basketball career as at that point in time, a 5'9", 20% 3-point shooter.
Right.
But that's how I got started. So then I was a manager, and that became a statistician, and that became eventually a reporter.
So all of your homecoming king crowns, are they in storage, or like, are they at your parents' place? Where do you keep all those? Is it a burden?
I've mostly passed them down. As you know, it's like the Nance tie at the Final Four. That.
Yeah,
makes sense.
You know, the kids.
It's all crystallizing.
Well, as you can tell, week 2, it's one of those weeks, Travis. So here's what we've done. We've asked you to go ahead and give us 3 games of interest to you, because we went and we did our picks. I have no read for how any of these games are going to go this week, but we were hoping maybe you could shed some insight on that. And then we've got some more specific either or type questions that we'd like to address with you. So can you share some of your insight on week 2 with us?
All right. So I picked 3 games, and I'm going to give you a bonus.
Yes.
And that's the Friday night game, which is Louisville, about a 2-touchdown favorite. We didn't go over our numbers, so if I'm a point or a half point off, forgive us. And that number could obviously change too. But Louisville intrigues me greatly. I've been hot for Lamar Jackson since the spring. A coach texted me out of nowhere, guys. I was at the bank. I looked down at my phone. It was a Power 5 coach, and he says, "Listen, man, I've been watching Louisville film, and this Jackson kid is going to be a star." So I've been talking him up all year, and thankfully Charlotte cooperated last week and let him have 8 touchdowns in the first half to make me look somewhat intelligent. And really, it was just that coach who was intelligent. But he was my number 1 breakout player in the country, following a couple of really excellent choices in the past by me. Jeremy Johnson was high up on the list a year ago.
He was great, yeah.
And Jake Coker the year before he was any good.
You're just a year early.
In some cases,
true.
Yeah. I have been a little bit a year early. That's been one of my curses. But I think Jackson's right on time as a sophomore. That the Syracuse offense is obviously going to be a great improvement, but I think this is a little bit too much of an early test for Dino Babers and Eric Dungy. And I think they're going to have a pretty good year, but I think a 2-touchdown home line, I don't see that just yet. I think Louisville's defense, with what it returns, is going to be good. But that's my bonus, so I got to go faster.
Okay.
The 2, and maybe I'll merge these 2 because they actually fit together. So you have number 2 Clemson at home, 36-point favorite against Troy, and got a little bit of insight about Troy last week. A friend of mine is a coach at Austin Peay. Austin Peay played at Troy last week and said that this is a vastly improved team based on the film that he watched last year. Neil Brown in year 2, they're going to try and speed it up, which is what Clemson is going to try and do too. But the obvious theme that I'm going with this one and the next game is that sort of trap game, at least as far as a line goes. So 36, obviously a huge number. I think it's not a close game, but I think it's a one where they'll try and get Deshaun Watson and try and get the starters out of the game in the 3rd, 4th quarter. And maybe Troy can sneak back into it and make it a 20, 24-point game, something like that. So that's one I like. Same theme, guys. Tulsa plus 29 at Ohio State. Same deal. Ohio State goes to Oklahoma next week. Really played well in week 1 against Bowling Green. Tulsa is a much better team than Bowling Green. Veteran quarterback, good running backs. 2nd year for Phil Montgomery running the Baylor-type system at Tulsa. So I like those games to stay a little closer than the big numbers because I think they're fairly quality opponents, especially in Tulsa's case, an American team that I think can stay close with Ohio State. Am I supposed to pause between these to let you?
No, do what you want.
I was just going to ask how confident you are in these picks, because if you want to make it interesting, you could shave your head if you're wrong with any of these.
See, and I'm looking for the incentive of why in the hell I would do that. Right, and I'm not coming up with one.
I mean, we could come up with something. We're creative.
Like you shave your head or win $1 million. We might be talking.
My breakout player of 2016, Jarrett Stidham.
I'm going to say 2017, you may be onto something.
True.
If he doesn't go to Auburn. If he goes to Auburn, I'm not real sure about him anymore.
So,
that is the leader apparently for him.
Oh, okay.
So you're going Louisville minus 14.5 we've got here. So you're also going to go Troy plus 36. Final pick was Tulsa plus 29.
Love it.
All right.
Grabbing those points.
Yeah. We've got 3 additional questions for you, Mr. Haney.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
They are either or type questions. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes touchdown passes versus...
That's versus Arizona State.
Versus the total number of consecutive weeks Texas will remain in the top 15.
Texas has UTEP this coming weekend, and then they go to Cal. Davis Webb, certainly a productive quarterback, capable of beating some teams. Oklahoma State on the road in Stillwater. That's on October 1st, so they do have a bye week. And then it is the Red River Shootout on the 8th of October. So those are the next 4 games. And then the schedule gets easy for a couple weeks with Iowa State and Kansas State on the road. And then they host Baylor, go to Texas Tech, West Virginia, to Kansas, host TCU.
So we're talking 5 weeks until the OU game, right?
Yeah.
So yes, 5 weeks. UTEP, Cal, by Oklahoma State are the 4 games. Or the 3 games before Oklahoma.
Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns last week. I'm going to say he throws 4 again this week. So I would lean Texas staying in the top 15, which means it probably would stay undefeated. So I made Texas lean there. Although that was going to be my other game, was Texas Tech +3 on the road at Arizona State. That's replay of the 2013 Holiday Bowl. Texas Tech played well in that game. Mm-hmm. I like the coaching matchup there. I like the direction. I like the shape of the jib for the Texas Tech program with Mahomes. He's really good.
Boom. Right. Next item, Ty.
Next item. Iowa State total points this weekend against Iowa, yes, versus the total number of arrests outside Bristol Motor Speedway, inside Bristol Motor Speedway for that Tennessee Virginia Tech game.
Does it matter who's playing? It's just the fact that it's at the Speedway. That's all that matters, right?
Yes, correct.
100% the arrest, because there are going to be a lot of people who are going out there just to tailgate and not go inside the game. Mm-hmm. And that is going to get out of hand. And Iowa State showed me nothing in week 1, losing to an FCS program. Iowa defense is really good. I live in the state of Tennessee. I know what's going to happen over there. I was going to go. I was going to ride over with our buddy Clay Travis, and decided another assignment was going to call for me. So I have a pretty good feeling. I'm definitely leaning toward law enforcement on that one.
Okay, so we're going to have a listener check the news and get some stats for us there, so we can rule a winner.
I want to know the answer to that.
Yeah,
boom, look it up.
And finally, the total number of field goals between Utah and BYU in the Holy War this weekend versus the total time it took Dan to eat 2 pounds of fries in a recent eating contest.
Okay. I need more info on the competitive eating. Where was it? What kind of fries?
Ty says recent. It was 2008, a simpler time. It was the National Competitive Collegiate Eating Competition. I was not a college student then, but I was allowed to enter because it was for a video for Sports Illustrated. It took me 4.5 minutes to eat 2 pounds of fries. And I did bring my own barbecue sauce.
What sort of fries though? Like what were they, like nationally renowned fries or something?
They were just at a bar in San Diego. Okay. I would say they were not shoestring, not steak. If shoestring are 0 and steak are 100, I would put them at about a 47 in terms of thickness.
In terms of girth.
Yes. 4.5 minutes.
Ty, hopefully Dan didn't ruin it by telling me the time. But I think having that knowledge, I'm going to go field goals. After watching Utah struggle with Southern Utah and BYU sort of kick it around against Arizona, I'm going to say we get maybe 5 or 6 field goals.
All right. Wow. So we've got Texas consecutive weeks in the top 15. The total arrests at Bristol Motor Speedway, which quite honestly feels like a bit of a steal. And then we've got the total number of field goals in the Holy War this weekend.
I like it.
Travis Haney on ESPN. Look for him, read his stuff, follow him on Twitter. We will be in touch about these picks.
I've written them all down. I'm counting on going at least 0-6.
All right. Good stuff. Take care. Enjoy your assignment this weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Good to see you guys, or hear you guys. Be with you. See ya.
Good luck with your teeth.
All right, Dan, that's Travis Haney, our good friend from over at ESPN and ESPN.com.
That was my number 2. That was my number.
We've only got one thing left to do.
Oh, God, I'm so glad you asked. So could you drop that hot, sticky, pendulous, undulating, drip?
Settle.
Drum and 5.
That was moist, Dan.
Thank you very much. Starting at 1 p.m., coming to the Bronx, Elizabeth City State.
Yep.
At Fordham. I looked it up, Elizabeth City State. Do you have a guess off the top of your head where Elizabeth City State football calls home?
It is in North Carolina, and I know it's a historically black college.
Okay.
I know that because I looked it up as well.
For some reason, I thought it was in Seattle.
No.
And I am wrong.
Yeah. Do you know where they're located?
It's that a player signed with the Seattle Seahawks, and I did not look at this closely enough. So Elizabeth City State University taking on Fordham. I'm taking Fordham after a tough loss.
Yeah, tough one.
Last week against the United States Naval Academy. I'm going with Fordham with a big bounce back week. I'm thinking 41-10 Fordham.
I like Fordham in a big way here, yeah.
Okay, next up, Delaware. Blue Hens.
Yep.
Traveling to Easton, PA.
Yep.
A city I have now been to.
Yep.
And I thought it was pretty charming, Ty. I'm not going to lie. Lafayette, to me, seems like the better team, mostly because I love me some Pat League, and I do not care about Delaware. That's my question. Delaware, who cares?
No.
Go Lafayette. 28-24, Leopards.
I think after this one, the Blue Hens will be laughing.
There it is. I like it.
At Lafayette. Give me the Blue Hens here in honor of Joe Flacco. Give me Blue Hens. Minus whatever here.
All right. Lehigh traveling to Villanova. Do you like those Engineers, Ty?
I do not. I'm going Villanova.
I love Villanova. I just went to Philadelphia and spent time there for the first time this summer, July 4th weekend, as you hear this patriotic music.
Yep.
And I got to say, I was completely a fan of the city of Philadelphia. I would recommend the restaurant Zahav, Z-A-H-A-V. I went to Federal Donuts. I went down to the, there's a river right there, right?
Yeah, it's the Delaware River.
It's the Delaware River.
Yeah.
That's patriotic again. So loved my experience there. Went to Independence Hall. So going Villanova, very easy for me.
Okay.
You like Lehigh for family purposes?
Villanova. Got to go Villanova.
Love that.
Here.
Okay,
Yeah.
Georgetown traveling to Marist. Down on all things Poughkeepsie. Georgetown just storming up from multi-sport field to the Hudson Valley. Love Georgetown here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Georgetown as well.
Okay. We are agreeing enthusiastically. Bucknell and Duquesne. You hold a considerable grudge against the Nellies of Bucknell.
I do.
Does that grudge hold true against Duquesne?
Duquesne, I don't know anything about their football program. I do know that they traditionally have had an okay basketball program here.
Mm-hmm.
I am sticking to my guns. They're out in the western part of the state, yeah.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I have sided with anyone other than Bucknell. I feel this is the week to break that streak, to bury the hatchet. Give me Bucknell here. I'm going all Bison.
We agree. Love a good Bison. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Spencer Hall's preseason piece,
good stuff,
all about the American Buffalo or the Bison. He went out to Montana and did all sorts of great things. You should definitely read it. It's just simply called Buffalo. Holy Cross at New Hampshire. I do have a soft spot for New Hampshire. For I believe the Wildcats of New Hampshire.
Sure.
Chip Kelly, Gary Croton, longtime fans of Gary Croton here on the Solid Verbal. Holy Cross at New Hampshire. The Crusaders, an angry team, if nothing else. How do you feel, Ty?
I'm going to go Holy Cross. Give me Holy Cross.
Oh, in New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire. I love the ghost of Ricky Santos.
All right, so there you have it.
I know you're going to drop the email address and the Twitter handle and the Snapchat and the Instagram, and they all kind of sound alike. But before you do that, I'd like to thank some people.
Please.
So we are nothing if not shepherds of all sorts of amazing people who want college football content. And everybody out there is sharing the show, sending it to friends, tagging friends on Facebook or on Twitter. You got to listen to this podcast. It's really good. It warms our hearts. It's unbelievable. And to acknowledge them is the least we can do. So thank you to Mel Pasquale, Michael Dorn. Mel Pasquale, by the way, is such a good name. If I got a business card from somebody named Mel Pasquale, I'd be like, God,
for sure. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you, my friend. Josh Mensch, which, do you know what a mensch is, Ty, in Yiddish?
I don't.
A mensch is somebody who does like a really nice thing for you.
Okay.
M-E-N-S-C-H. So John Mensch just holding up his end of the bargain. Lazare, Oli.
Okay.
L-A-Z-A-R-E. How would you pronounce that? L-A-Z-A-R-E.
Lazare?
Lazare, O-L-Y. Last name.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Oli? Oli?
Yeah.
Great name. Good name as well. Katie Hackerson Atkins, whose name sounds like she is the starting pitcher for a pretty good but not great softball team. All sorts of good names. Here we got Yoshi Obayashi.
Nice.
Like strong name. Eric Horn. I mean, come on. If I get a business card from Eric Horn, I'm like, I better do business with this
music
guy.
to my ears. Yeah,
absolutely. Alan Reynolds, who has directed a number of sitcoms from the 1990s.
Yep.
Kyle Robert sounds like he could be a Georgia quarterback. 2 first-name name.
Yep.
Taylor Todd, once again. Andrew Corian, Corrion,
Coriat.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
MJG the Bronco. It's just MJG on Twitter, but he's a Boise State fan, so hopefully he likes that we both think Boise State's going to win.
MJG the Bronco, his birth name?
That would be wonderful if it were.
Okay.
Nathan Biller, very active on Twitter, very supportive.
Okay.
Luke Peets, which sounds like a place that I would want a sandwich from.
Yeah.
So all sorts of people sharing the show on Facebook, on Twitter, giving us reviews on iTunes, signing up for Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. We could not be happier. And I do have a question for you, Ty.
Yes, please.
We are about to finalize our order, so we can no longer accept orders for our shirts. So we believe they'll be going out. They'll be printed and going out pretty soon.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Great shirts. So if you did order a shirt,
thank you.
And a lot of people, yes, thank you, first of all. And a lot of people followed up and said, ooh, yeah, that PayPal address is a really old one. And you followed up with your new address. We have those, and we're taking care of it.
We're taking care of you. One final note here. This goes out to our boy Gavin. Sounds as if Gavin and a bunch of his closest friends will be taking in a game this weekend at Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. This game is of note because the line moved from Ohio -9 to now, I believe, Kansas -3 in light of Kansas's big win a week ago against Rhode Island.
Oh my God, took them down.
I have no real knowledge about what's going to happen in this game. I don't know a thing. I couldn't even make it up. I don't know a thing about Ohio or Kansas. He asked for a quick preview about this riveting matchup. Do you have anything?
Kansas and who now? Ohio?
The Bobcats.
All right. 2 states I don't think I want to live in.
No.
If you had to choose between these 2 states, in which would you live?
I'd probably go Ohio.
I think I'd go Ohio as well.
Close to the lake.
Because of weather. Kansas weather seems awful. It's pretty flat.
So you would side more on the side of snow than tornadoes.
Yes.
Okay.
The sleet, the iciness, the tornadoes. I think their governor has people literally wash his feet, which skeeves the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah.
I'm going to go Ohio here. So.
Okay. I'm going to go
We're
Kansas.
going Bobcats.
I'll go Kansas just to take the other side. And just the fact that the line moved 12 points in their favor is sort of cool. So enjoy the game. Take pictures. Call the Reverb line. Let us know how it goes, Gavin.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
So, fun show here tonight. Covered a bunch of ground. Not the greatest slate of games, but it is college football. We didn't have college football as of 2 weeks ago. So just the fact that it's here and it's back and it's something to watch on Saturday is good enough for me and you. It should be good enough for everybody else out there. Give us a call at 408-VERBAL-1. That's 408-837-2251. We will spin up our reverbs before we review all this action on Sunday morning before we do our next show.
Ty, it's been a long show, by the way. Do you think people are still listening?
I don't know. Let's see. I was wondering that.
If only there were a way to prove it to us.
You want to do secret verbal?
I think we should. It's week 2 and it's a slower week. We got to get something in here.
All right. So here's what I'm thinking. Someone suggested that we do some sort of wedding themed secret verbal just because of your news.
Interesting.
Right? Because of your recent news about being engaged. Congratulations again.
Already started scouting locations, Ty.
Okay. So what we need to do is ask some unsuspecting media member how their wedding plans are coming. Who is our mark?
That's a great question. I think we go with Joel Klatt.
Joel Klatt.
I think we go with Joel Klatt.
Now, I wonder if Joel Klatt will have as much fun with this as we do.
He definitely will not.
I'm a little worried that might not be the best idea.
Do you think he's going to get upset?
I'm a little worried he might.
He's pretty, Kirk Herbstreit, who's basically like premium version Joel Klatt, was totally good with it.
I'm a little worried about Joel Klatt. We had Joel Klatt on the show. He's a very nice gentleman.
He was great on the show. One of my favorite recent guests.
Okay, let's do Joel Klatt.
We're not going angry with it. We're just going insight. Okay, so his username on Twitter is Joel Klatt, JoelKlatt.
There's a convenience factor there, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. Easy to remember, easy to spell. Tweet Joel Klatt as if he is a wedding planner.
That's a good one, yeah.
So tweet as if you are newly engaged, like myself.
Right.
And tweet him about venues and whether, hey, do the venues that you work with, do the wedding venues that you work with accommodate 150 plus people? Are they wheelchair accessible? What is the curfew for the wedding venues that you work with as a wedding planner? Hey, I'm planning a wedding.
Do they take American Express?
Yes. We are planning to start it a little later because it is a Moroccan wedding and that is a tradition.
Right,
Just making that up. But
is there a cake cutting fee? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Do I have to bring my own food, or does the location have catering that they work with? So think about a question that you would ask a wedding planner.
Okay.
And let's just treat Joel Klatt as if he is also a wedding planner on the side. Keep it very civil, keep it very nice, and do not indicate at all that we sent you. It is, do not hashtag it with solid verbal. Do not tell him the solid verbal sent. He will probably tweet confusion. Do not answer his tweets with, it sounds like it's near.
It might be a secret verbal.
Yeah, it sounds like tying it. No. Be cool and just ask him polite questions about the wedding that you're planning.
Just be cool.
Joel Klatt. JoelKlatt.
Just be cool.
Yes.
Like the Houston Cougars. Be cool.
Be cool.
All right. Well, fun show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to do, boys and girls listening at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you see something of note, drop us a line. Let us know. Again, 408-837-2251. We're also on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and on iTunes at itunes.com/solidverbal. That man over there is Dan Rubenstein. His lock of the week is Iowa.
Yeah.
My name is Ty Hildenbrandt. My lock of the week is Oregon. Minus 24.5. Big thanks again to our guest of honor this evening, the one, the only Travis Haney from ESPN. We will catch you all in a few short days. Enjoy the games, and in the meantime, stay solid.